Hey everybody, it's Net Night, and this is the perfect time for me to reach out to you guys and share. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about talking on the radio. We're fixing to make contact, and then we're going to go from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and initiate a contact with this fella. This is Alpha Bravo 7 Lima Whiskey in Oklahoma.
Roger. Thanks so much for the contact. Have a great holiday in 73.
Just call out.
Alpha Bravo 7 Lima Whiskey. Come on, man.
KK4 2KW.
Whiskey Delta 4 Alpha Lima Echo 59
Yep. See, he's not hearing me or.
All right, we'll take that 59 Russell. Thanks so much for the contact. 73. Bye-bye. Alpha Bravo 7 Lima Whiskey. QRZ.
KK4 Quebec Kilo Whiskey.
Kilo Whiskey.
Next, Kilo 4 Quebec Kilo Whiskey.
57.
57, you coming in 510 on my end.
Okay, thanks so much for the contact. Happy DX to you, my friend, and Merry Christmas. 73, AB7 Lima Whiskey, QRZ.
Well, he cuts you kind of short. And anyway, we just made contact with a 5.8 off my fan dipole to Oklahoma. And I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. And so primarily what I wanted to talk about this evening is, ham radio to some people is intimidating, okay? They get the ham radio and then they get licensed and then they turn the radio on. And I can tell you this from experience, okay? So, what it really takes is it just takes getting on the air to get it over with. I guess the best way to put this is a ham radio operator on the other end of that microphone is probably one of your best friends, okay? There is absolutely no reason to be afraid of communicating with anyone on the other end of this radio. This radio is what is going to be a lifeline when communications go down. And a ham radio operator will be the most dependable person that you can communicate with. It's like when I was in the service and when I was overseas on board our ship, we had what was called a Mars system. They've done away with Mars now. I think they have satellite television and telephone and communications. You can go up like a payphone on a ship and call home. I'm not sure how it works these days. But back in the days when I was on board the ship, the ham radio was the only communication that if you put in a request and you were approved, and the radio operator upstairs was able to get through to a ham radio operator, the ham radio operator would facilitate the phone call, keying off and on, back and forth to the phone and the receiver and to loved ones. So if there was an emergency at home, and say you received a letter or something like that, you were given permission to go up to radio, and if they was able to raise a ham radio operator, you could communicate with someone at home via a ham radio. And so I guess another thing is, like, most people who get into ham radio these days, or maybe they're into it big time, or maybe they just have a handheld. Those are the kind of people that are going to be on the other end, and they actually want to be helpful. Okay, so there is absolutely no reason for for you to be afraid of making a contact on the radio. If you call out and they answer, talk to them. So what I'm saying is a ham radio operator, even your average, handheld ham radio operator, they want to be on the other end to communicate and to help. And so there's absolutely no reason for you to have mic fright, I guess is what you could say. Get on the radio, get in a band that you're eligible to be in, okay? Do a CQ and go CQ, CQ. This is KK4, QKW. The CQ, CQ, CQ. Drag that on for about 5 or 10 seconds, okay? Give somebody a chance to, pick you up on their radar. Now, they are going to be answering your call. You're the one that's calling CQ. So you basically will have control of the conversation when they call you. And so if I called CQ and I got an answer, basically the answer would be the other guy's call sign. And so if I said CQ, he would answer back with his call sign. And then you recognize him by his call sign, and then, his call sign and KK4 QKW. All right. And so now you've established the contact, and the contact is the communication between you and him. And at that time, you can carry on a conversation and transfer back and forth. And then generally every, I think 2-3 minutes, I'm not quite sure exactly when, but you need to reiterate your call sign, so that others can, identify you, while you're broadcasting. And so, just get over the initial fright of picking up the mic. Okay, get on the radio, tune into a frequency. Do not be afraid. You went out and got a ham radio operator's license, right? Okay, and you went and bought a ham radio, right? And now it's sitting in front of you on a table or on a desk, and you're just sitting there looking at it and just going and scrolling from left to right, and picking up and tuning in, and someone else is talking, and you're afraid to break in. The first thing you do when somebody's out there doing CQ, and then they finish a call and they call QRZ, bam, you're on the mic with your call sign, because you're actually probably going to be competing with some other ham radio operators to get the contact. But what I find on the radio is most of the guys out here on the radio are doing contact, and that's basically what they're doing. They're saying, oh, I can talk to someone in Oklahoma, or hey, I got Canada, or I just talked to Puerto Rico or Costa Rica. And one night I hit a guy up in Moscow, Russia, which I thought was pretty cool. But I'm going to tell you, the coolest one that I had was a jolly old fella in the UK. And but you can't be afraid to jump in and open your mouth and then throw that call sign out there and let somebody recognize you and then start talking to them. But the main point I was getting at is when you call CQ, if you're interested in talking and conversating, okay, you have control over the conversation. All right, that means, so if I call CQ, somebody answers me back, I can say, how's the weather? Or I can say, what city, or give me your call sign and look it up, and you say, oh, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've never been to Tulsa. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it? Or, how's the weather? Is it raining? What's the temperatures like? And you can actually develop a relationship with, other ham radio operators by doing that, okay? If you just do quick QSOs and, which is, one-to-one, if you just do quick contacts, then, you're really, all you're doing is testing your equipment, and then, you know, speaking and getting, you know, signals, testing your radio. And, you know, a lot of people talk about their rigs when, you know, when they're talking on the radio for the most part. If you got a, you know, a QRZ and, you know, he goes, oh, well, what type of equipment do you have? Well, then you can explain the type of radio you got, what kind of antenna you have. And, you know, some of you new guys, you know, you'll find that out, you know. Make sure you know what kind of radio you got. Make sure you know what kind of antenna you got. Make sure you know what your general location is, you know. And there's also contests that you can get involved with. Contests. And they're generally on the weekends. And they start like on Friday evenings. And then they'll just go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they'll just be on the radio all day and all night, and there'll be hundreds of ham radio operators trying to break in to get a signal. And the contest is to try to break through and get recognized and then write their call signs down. And then it goes to the ARRL or, you know, whatever organization is hosting the contest. And of course, you know, they do have winners. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to see you next time. This is KK4QKW. We're out.